Who are the people being gathered from the east and the west in Matthew chapter 8 verses 11 and 12? Let's learn. Today we are going to get understanding on who is being gathered from the east and west in Matthew 8 verses 11 and 12, so we can know who Christ and the prophets were speaking of. Now for context, Christ just saw the faith of a centurion by believing Christ would heal his servant without coming to his home. Now we can see Christ says that many will come from the east and west to sit down with Abraham, Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. So who are these people according to the prophets of the Old Testament? Let's find out. Now according to Isaiah 43 verses 1 to 7, Israel is the people that are being gathered from the east and the west, as well as the north and south. From the first witness it is clear that Israel is the people that Christ is speaking of in Matthew 8 verses 11 and 12. The keywords to look for is east and west, because if we see in the prophets that a people are coming from east and west, and we know Christ only studied and taught out of the Old Testament according to Luke chapter 2 verses 40 and 52, we can know who Christ would have been speaking of in the text. We also know that the prophets are subject to the prophets, meaning to interpret the prophets you need the other prophets. As we know, Christ is the prophet spoken of by Moses in Deuteronomy 18 verses 18 and 19, which is supported by John chapter 6 verses 14 and 15 and John 7 verse 40. Now for the second witness. Zechariah 8 verses 7 and 8 says that God will save his people from the east country and west country, that they will be his people and he will be their God. Now we need to find out who God's people are according to the Bible, so we know who the people are that are being saved from the east countries and west countries. According to Exodus 3 verse 10 and Romans 11 verse 1, Israel is God's people. So that means Israel is the people being saved or gathered from the east and west countries in Zechariah 8. Now for the third witness. In Psalm 107, the redeemed of the Lord are gathered out of the lands or countries from the east, west, north and south. Now we need to find out who the redeemed of the Lord are to know who the people are that are being gathered or saved from the east and west. Back to a verse used earlier. Isaiah 43, which speaks of a gathering from the east and west, also says that Israel is the people that are redeemed by the Lord. Luke chapter 1 verse 68 says that the Lord God of Israel has visited and redeemed his people. Those people are Israelites. This means Psalm 107 is speaking of Israel being redeemed from the enemy and gathered out of the east, west, north, and south lands. Now we know that Christ in Matthew 8 verses 11 and 12 is speaking of Israel, the people being gathered from the east and west according to Isaiah 43, Zechariah 8, and Psalm 107. Shalom.